Hi everyone and Merry Christmas and welcome to my vlog. For today's vlog, we will discuss about the history of Hands in Inclusion Philippines. Tatalakay ko kung paano nagsimula ang Hands in Inclusion Pilipinas. So without further ado, here now is my story time. The history of Hands in Inclusion Philippines. It was all started on March 8, 2017 as Inclusion in Action. It was led by Roylan Marlang, a self-advocate with autism and a Benildian alumni from Pasay City. The logo of Inclusion in Action was designed by Roylan himself using Microsoft Paint. At that time, Roylan came from two inclusive organizations here in our country. Project Inclusion Network of Unilab Foundation and Autism Society Philippines National Headquarters in Kamuning, Quezon City. A month later, on April 21, 2017, Inclusion in Action began to experiment how to help persons with disabilities and persons in need. On June 12, 2017, coinciding with the celebration of the Philippine Independence Day, Inclusion in Action became known as Hands in Inclusion. The first logo of the organization was designed by Pawi Bobier. On March 8, 2018, coinciding with the first anniversary of Hands in Inclusion, the organization unveiled the first slogan, which is Inclusion Ako. This slogan is inspired from the battle cry of Ginebra. On November 17, 2018, Hands in Inclusion unveiled the second logo. It was designed by the founder, Roylan Marlang, using Canva as the application used in creating that logo. Well, this logo represents the two important values as a Filipino. Help each other through the bayanihan spirit and to love each other. Pagkakaisa at pagmamahal. And the rays of the sun represents the colors of persons with disabilities. In the year 2019, Hands in Inclusion opened its doors to volunteers on that year. On March 8, 2019, during the second anniversary of the organization, Hands in Inclusion unveiled another logo. It was designed by a Benildian alumni named Mike Ambion. On that day, the organization soft opened the Hands in Inclusion online store to the public via Facebook. On May 4, 2019, Roylan Marlang, the founder of Hands in Inclusion, spoke in a seminar at Puzzle Cafe, in a seminar organized by then Autism Strong Philippines, an organization led by Joel Nava. On July 23, 2019, Hands in Inclusion premiered the first commercial entitled Alam Namin Po Yon. This commercial is created by the founder of the organization, Roylan Marlang, and David Joseph Hill, the former member of Hands in Inclusion from Quezon City. Well, the essence of this commercial is to carry on and to succeed our lives despite our disabilities. On October 4, 2019, Hansen Inclusion began the world of podcasting. The first segment is entitled The Inclusive Report. It is hosted by the founder of Hansen Inclusion, Roylan Marlang. On the 5th of October 2019, Hansen Inclusion relaunched to the public during the seminar of the Association for Adults with Autism Philippines at Rotary Club of Makati. On November 11 to 15, 2019, the core team of Hansen Inclusion took part of the Deaf Bazaar organized by the Benilde School of Deaf Education and Applied Studies. And on November 23, 2019, the former mayor of the city of Manila, Isko Moreno, received gifts from the Hansen Inclusion founders Roylan Marlang and Cedric Mariano. At we were very thankful to that. Nagpasalamat yung Hansen Inclusion sa pamahalaang lungsod ng Maynila for this opportunity for the then mayor to acknowledge the gifts given to him during the Capital Report show aired on the City Government of Manila's Facebook page through the Manila Public Information Office. And then ito yung 2020 actually, pinakamalalang taon sa ating bansa at sa buong mundo dahil sa COVID-19 pandemic. Ito yung the year of the pandemic actually. So bago nangyari ang COVID pandemic, ito yun. Noong January 24, 2020, nagkaroon ng kauna-unahang seminar ng Hansen Inclusion. The title of this seminar is Makabagong Autismo sa ika-21 siglo. It was held at the Philippine General Hospital in Manila, and it was done under the leadership of the project managers of the seminar, Millicent Rivera Macuse, a person with autism from Imu City, Cavite, and Cedric John Mariano, a person with autism from Singalong Street in Manila. And also Samantha Sison, the former president of the organization. And this is a joint event between Hansen Inclusion, Autism Strong Philippines, Association for Adults with Autism Philippines, and Project Inclusion Network. On March 8, 2020, during the 3rd anniversary of the organization and also coinciding as well with the declaration of the state of public health emergency in the entire Philippines due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the song One Inclusion Nation was unveiled. It was composed by a former Hansen Inclusion core team member from Katipunan, Quezon City named David Joseph Hill. On May 17, 2020, Hansen Inclusion organized an online concert entitled Himig Inclusion. The essence of this concert is to give honor to the Virgin Mary. Ito yung pagbibigay pugay sa ating mga frontliners. So the performers of the said online concert are the Hansen Inclusion core team members and self-advocates. And this one, June 6, 2020, that's the day that lest we forget in the history of Hansen Inclusion. It was on that day that Hansen Inclusion was on a temporary closure at exactly 1:13 in the afternoon on that day. This is because of the sanction members who wanted to destroy the image of the organization. Dahil yan sa dalawa na taga Quezon City, yung isa taga Muntinlupa from Putatan, and the complacency of the members. Among the issues for the complacency of the members are parodies, alibis, vendettas, partisan politics or political views, and the non-cooperation of the members. When we say non-cooperation of the members, yung hindi ayaw sila makikipag-cooperate sa mga activities at sa mga gawain ng organisasyon. In relation to the Hansen Inclusion shutdown, Inclusports was temporarily closed on July 2, 2020 at 8:30 in the evening on that day. It later returned on the air at 9 a.m. on the 31st of July 2020, coinciding with the NBA Orlando bubble in Disney World, Orlando, Florida, in the United States of America. Between June and July 2020, Hansen Inclusion organized 4 interviews on the Inclusive Report. On June 26, 2020, we interviewed a person with autism from Grace Park, Caloocan City named Andres Jonathan Balingit Fajardo. On July 8, 2020, we interviewed a pastor, a COVID-19 survivor, and a sports enthusiast named Brother Gary Rayala. On July 17, 2020, we interviewed a PWD from Davao City and an athlete who represented the Philippines in swimming competitions in the locally and overseas named Ernie Gawilan. And on July 22, 2020, during the celebration of the National Disability Prevention and Rehabilitation Week, we interviewed the founder of a PWD organization based in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, called the Pambansang Coalition na may kapansanan para sa pagbabago. His name is the late Doctor de la Cruz Jr. He died on November 18, 2020, months after the interview on the Inclusive Report. On July 6, 2020, Inclunihan was launched. So what is Inclunihan, ladies and gentlemen? This is a fundraising project of the organization Hansen Inclusion. And the purpose of this fundraising event are the following. PWDs who lost jobs due to the lockdown at that time and the near total closure of companies caused by the effects of the COVID pandemic. Yung mga hindi nabigyan ng ayuda mula sa DSWD through the Social Amelioration Program, pati sa tupad, sa DOLE. Yung mga estudyante na hindi kaya bumili ng gadgets para sa kanilang online classes, habang ipinagbabawal pansamantala ang face-to-face classes hanggat mayroon go signal mula sa gobyerno ng Republika ng Pilipinas sa pamamagitan ng Department of Health, the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, the Malacanang or the President of the Philippines, Department of Education, the Commission on Higher Education, the Joint Task Force COVID Shield, and the World Health Organization. Ito ay para din sa future projects ng Hansen Inclusion. At ito po ay para sa pondo, para sa less fortunate, yung mga hindi nakapagtrabaho o Hindi sila nakapagpasok sa eskwela. On July 23, 2020, Hansen Inclusion unveiled a commercial. The essence of this commercial is to give honor to the frontliners, entitled One Inclusion Forever. On August 8, 2020, there is a viral episode on a podcast entitled Kumustahan sa Inklo Radio, also known as Dito po sa HNI. With yours truly and my best friend named Gino Ignacio. Napansin yung kamag-anak ni Gino na kay Carlos na, "Hoy, may politika yan. This episode contained political discussions." Dahil dyan, nag-confess ako kila Royland at kay Cedric. Humiya ko sila ng tawad. Sabi nila, okay lang yan, wag mo na lang gawin ulit. At dahil dyan, ang resulta, humingi ako ng paumanhin sa pamilya ni Gino at tinanggap nila yung apology. And because of this, I actually apologized to Gino's family and to the Ignacio family, and they accepted it, and it said, and Tito Jom, the dad of Gino, said na, "That's fine, Carlos. We just have to be careful on what is posted on the internet, as it may be used against you in the future." But it was nice, and it was always nice talking to you and sharing. My best friend and his dad loved it and liked it very much, but without to share it only in private with a small group and not for the public. Yun ang sabi ng tatay ni Gino to me at that time. At the time that I apologized to the family of Gino Ignacio on behalf of Hansen Inclusion and my family, the Kanahashi family. Buti na lang hindi tayo in-upload to sa YouTube kasi may mga political content sa show na yan. Ito yung bago yung magpayo. Noong September 14, 2020, pansamantalang tinigil ang inklunihan dahil sa wala masyadong suporta sa ibang tao at sa ibang organisasyon at dahil sa mga nangyari. And also on that day, inilunsad ang Hansen Inclusion version ng Tinig ng Mga Nawalan. This is a tribute to the Filipino fighting spirit and the sense of community and service in the face of challenges. Inspired ito siya sa ABS-CBN, final day na nagsialisan ng mga empleyado ng network noong August 31, 2020, kasabay inilunsad niya. On September 30, 2020 and December 8, 2020, inilunsad ang kantang One Inclusion Forever. Ang inyong lingkod, kinumpose ko. Kinanta ito ng Hansen Inclusion, pati ang mga members, pati ang at ibang self-advocates. Inspired ito sa Family is Forever, ang 2019 Christmas song ng TV network na nasara noong May 5 noong taong 2020. Ang ABS-CBN. On October 24, 2020, during the 500 days to 5-year countdown to 2022 on Magpayo Tayo Kay Inclusion, the three hosts from QC, Cavite, and Muntinlupa unveiled the merchandise design of the organization. And then on November 22, 2020, the then Vice President of Internal Affairs of Hansen Inclusion, Vel Baria, and a PWA from Charleston, South Carolina, named David Mitchell, were married in South Carolina in the United States of America. On December 3, 2020, during the celebration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, the organization unveiled the 4th anniversary logo of Hansen Inclusion. Ito may kinalaman sa Christianity Celebration ng Pilipinas at ang tagumpay sa Mactan. On that year, Hansen Inclusion had a partnership with Ateneo Speed, wherein Roylan Marlang spoke in that webinar organized by the organization. This organization is called the Ateneo Special Educational Society, also known as Ateneo Speed. It is one of the student organizations of Ateneo de Manila University. And then after this, here, in the year 2021, Hansen Inclusion did all online events at the time. The first one is on January 23, 2021. We had a webinar entitled O Testimonials. This webinar is about the stories of PWDs and persons with autism and their advocates. And the speakers of the webinar are Dr. Lirio Sabreviñas Covey, Ms. Pauline Reyes, Mr. Arden Asuncion, and Mr. Bilicent Macuse. Yours truly and Asher Santos are the project managers of the webinar. Ms. Anisa Chua of Ateneo Speed and Roylan Marlang are the hosts of that webinar. This is a joint between Hansen Inclusion, Autism Strong Philippines, Association for Adults with Autism Philippines, and Project Inclusion Network. On the 27th of February 2021, Hansen Inclusion organized a webinar entitled Connecting with Down Syndrome. This is about Down Syndrome in celebration of the National Down Syndrome Consciousness Month. Christian Chan and Roylan Marlang are the project managers of the webinar. And the hosts of that webinar are Lexi Cruz and Steph Pagtaconan. The sign language interpreters are Walter Nasino and JDan Amores. And the speakers of the webinar are Dr. Francis Xavier Di Malanta, Miss Susana Yuson, and Miss Mona Visperas. On March 3, 2021, there is an event called Spread the Word Inclusion Connection 2021. This is a joint between Best Buddies Philippines and Special Olympics Pilipinas. The Hansen Inclusion core team represented the organization in that said event. And the ones who are joined are yours truly. We have Roylan, we have Vel, and we also have the future member, John Kevin Suarez. And the representatives from Best Buddies Philippines, Autism Society Philippines, and other PWD organizations throughout the Philippines took part of that said event. And the hosts of that event are Kia Lagmay of Best Buddies Philippines and Atesashi Montana of Special Olympics Pilipinas. And the sign language interpreter of that said event is then Director of the Benilde Center for Inclusive Education and later the Vice President for the Lasallian Mission and Student Life, Miss Maria Veronica Nikki Templo Perez. On March 6, 2021, Christian Chan, a person with autism from Quezon City, and Millicent Macuse, a PWA from Imu City, Cavite, and the host of Magpayo Tayo Ka-Inclusion, represented the organization in a webinar entitled Inspirations, Testimonials of PWD. This is a joint webinar between the school and the organization, the Psychological Society of Assumption, and Hands in Inclusion. On March 8, 2021, Hands in Inclusion celebrated a very important milestone. The organization celebrated its 4th anniversary with the theme, Bagong Tapang sa One Inclusion Nation. Inspired ito sa commercial ng isang gin. And the essence of this theme is to show courage and bravery towards a one inclusive Philippines. On the 27th of March 2021, we have 2 webinars. First, Roylan Marlang spoke in the webinar of Ateneo Speed about persons with special needs in the workplace. And there was the third webinar entitled Usaping Inklusyon para sa Kababaihan. The essence of this webinar is to tell stories about women with disabilities. The speakers of the webinar are Vel Baria Mitchell, Leia Buenaventura, and Olive Medina. The hosts of the webinar are Lexi Cruz and Steph Pagtaconan. The sign language interpreters are Caris Clemente and Jadian Amores. And during the webinar, Roylan Marlang, the founder of Hands in Inclusion, covered the song Bagong Simula, a song that was sung by a Pinoy Big Brother alumni named Jem Makatuno, and the project managers are Timothy John Pormarejo, a person with disability from Cainta, Rizal, and Millicent Macuse, a PWA from Imu City, Cavite. On the 4th of April 2021, coinciding with the end of the Holy Week, Incloradio was relaunched. Ang layunin nito ay para mapakinggan para sa madlang bayan at para sa masa. Nagbalik sa ere ang Magpayo Tayo Ka-Inclusion noong April 10, 2021, Sabado ng Pasko ng Pagkabuhay, para sa ikalawang season. Nagsimula ito, ang simulcast ito, sa Hands in Inclusion Philippines Kumu App. On April 27, 2021, coinciding with the 500th anniversary of the Battle of Mactan and the birth of Christianity in the Philippines, Hands in Inclusion unveiled the One Inclusion Nation t-shirts. On May 1st, 2021, Labor Day, we have 2 events. First, the launch of Planet Inclusion, the official YouTube channel of Angat Persons with Disabilities United, an organization led by the founder Miss Carmen Reyes Zubiaga, who is the former director of the National Council on Disability Affairs, and she later ran for senator in the May 2022 national and local elections. Several months later. Enhancing Inclusion organized Kwentong Autismo webinar. The essence of this webinar is to tell stories about life with autism. The three speakers are the Hansen Inclusion members living in Quezon City. Yours truly, Christian Chan and John Kevin Suarez. The hosts of the webinar are Asher Santos and Miss Gloria Antuerpia. And the project managers are Samantha Season, the former Hansen Inclusion core team member, who later returned to the organization at the time, and a person with disability from Legazpi City, Albay, named Marian Manrique. On May 15 to July 31st, 2021, it was the start of a Microsoft Office training program for persons with disabilities, named Inclu Training. This is a joint between Hansen Inclusion, led by the founder, Roylan Marlang, Trend Static, led by Sir Archie Cunanan, and Angat Persons with Disabilities United, led by Miss Carmen Reyes Zubiaga. On May 19 to 20, 2021, Roylan Marlang and yours truly appeared on Stars 2021 of the Guild of Thomasian Educators of the University of Santo Tomas. Actually, we and Roylan sang and uploaded our pre-recorded performance in the Facebook page of the Guild of Thomasian Educators. On May 29, 2021, Hansen Inclusion had the last webinar entitled Enimeros Aware for Mental Health. The essence of this webinar is to tell stories about mental health. The speakers of the webinar are Rachel Colleen Aquino, the Secretary General of Youth for Mental Health Coalition, Richard Balang, the Professor of De La Salle University, Manila, and Dr. Raul Ganya, at the time who passed his doctorate thesis at the University of Santo Tomas. The hosts of the webinar are yours truly and Ateroy Galfo. The project managers of the webinar are Mary Jane Javier, a PWD from Lucena, Quezon, and Jose Gabriel Ignacio, also known as Gino Ignacio, my best friend, who is a person with disability living in Quezon City. On July 4, 2021, it was the launch of Barya para sa Inclusion. So, Barya para sa Inclusion is a fundraising project of Hansen Inclusion Philippines. The purpose of these are the following: to help persons with disabilities and the less fortunate who are unemployed and lost their jobs due to the pandemic, and for the formality of Hansen Inclusion and the expenses of the organization. On July 19, 2021, the commercial Tuloy ang Inclusion was premiered. The essence of this commercial is to show our dreams and aspirations as PWDs in our civilized society. On August 28, 2021, the organization Hansen Inclusion organized an online concert entitled Include Pilipinas Himig Inclusion 2021. This online concert is about showing of talents of PWDs during the celebration of the National Language Month, also known as the Buwan ng Wika, sa Filipino Heritage Month sa ating bansa at ang dakila sa ating mga bayani. The hosts of this concert are Shane Celorio, and Sayan Sevilla. On September 10, 2021, yours truly, Carlos Kanahashi, a Hansen Inclusion core team member from Quezon City, spoke during the culminating activity of the Best Buddies Philippines Ambassador Training. On October 18 to 28, 2021, Hansen Inclusion Philippines took part of the webinar of Eliza Corpus Consulting entitled Work as One. It happened during October 18 to 20 and again on October 26 and 28. On November 27, 2021, yours truly and Asher Santos represented the organization in the Friendsgiving Karaoke activity of Best Buddies Philippines. On December 3, 2021, coinciding with the celebration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, yours truly and Kuya Yochu spoke in the webinar organized by the UST Guild of Thomasian Speducators. And yours truly represented Hansen Inclusion and Best Buddies Philippines in that event, while Kuya Yochu is the owner of Mamo's Lutong Bahay at iba pa. On December 5 and 10, 2021, Hansen Inclusion unveiled a Christmas song entitled Ang Bagong Pag-asa ng Pasko. According to Ma'am Lina Togane, the essence of this song is to rejoice and to renew our lives. The song was composed by Roylan Marlang and it is inspired from Paskong Manileño, the 2019 Christmas song of the city government of Manila. And here goes 2022. On January 17, 2022 to the 1st of February 2022, pansamantalang natigil ang operasyon at ang pagsasahim papuwid ang Incloradio dahil sa mga sumusunod. Dahil sa pagtaas ng kaso ng COVID-19 sa Metro Manila dahil sa Omicron variant, at si Gwyneth Chua at yung isa pang unidentified Pilipina nag-skip ng quarantine nung bumalik dito sa Pilipinas galing ng Estados Unidos ng Amerika. At that time, alert level 3 ang Metro Manila. And then, after that, on February 2, 2022, bumalik na sa ere ang Inklo Radio when NCR reverted back to alert level 2 and later alert level 1. On January 26, 2022, ang inyong lingkod at si Dan Mar nagsalita sa Serbisyong Angat sa Angat Persons with Disabilities United led by Ma'am Carmen Reyes Zubiaga. On March 8, 2022, Hands in Inclusion celebrated its 5th year anniversary with the theme Makatotohanang Inklusyon, Angat Buhay ang Solusyon sa HNI Posible. Noong March 12, 2022, inilunsad ang Certified Voice Artist Program ang kanilang show. Ang pamagat nito ay ang The Voice of PWD Got Talent 2022. The essence of this show is to show the talents of persons with disabilities. The theme song is Pangarap Mo, and it is composed and rendered by Ramil Haiktin and Madge Ferreria. It was done under the leadership of the program director, Miss Gloria Antuerpia, and the voice master, Sir Pocholo de Leon Gonzalez. On March 30, 2022, the Hands in Inclusion online shop became Inklo Tindahan. On April 2, 2022, kasabay ng selebrasyon ng World Autism Awareness Day, nagsalita si Christian Gerald Chan sa webinar ng UST Literary Society. Noong April 10, 2022, inilunsad ang show ng CVAP, ang Talk from the Heart. This show features letters from listeners and viewers who are seeking support and counseling about struggles in life, family issues, love-related problems, relationships, social issues, and spiritual dilemmas. The hosts of this show are Ramil Haiktin and Madge Ferreria, who are the singers in Pangarap Mo, the official theme song of The Voice of PWD Got Talent 2022, Ma'am Esperanza Ching Santiago, and Miss Lina Togane. And then ito, April 30, 2022, nagkaroon ng kauna-unahang webinar ng Hands in Inclusion. Ang pamagat nito ay Inklo Talks Aware for Autism. The essence of the webinar is to tell stories about persons with disabilities and advocates in celebration of the World Autism Awareness Month. Ang inyong lingkod at si Ma'am Lady Jane Eliazar Florese, isang PWD na taga Cotabato City, ang project managers na naturang webinar. Ang mga speakers nito ay si Miss Esperanza Ching Marso, ang mga kapatid na Munaris, at si Mr. Robin Conanan. Itong webinar nito, joint between Hands in Inclusion, Autism Society Philippines, at Special Olympics Pilipinas. So actually, may nangyari dyan sa webinar, to be honest. Nagkaroon kami ng technical issues. And actually, ito yung last project ko before I left the organization, actually. Dahil sa nangyari sa webinar na yan. And then, nung umalis na ako sa Hands in Inclusion, after April 30, 2022, eto na. 2 months after the 5th anniversary of the organization, On May 1st, 2022, nagkaroon ng bagong logo ng organisasyon. This logo represents nationalism and patriotism and inclusion. And nagkaroon ng bagong slogan, Our Hands Include Yours. Nagkaroon ng renaming ng Inklo Radyo noong May 2022, ang HNI News Network, at noong June 14, 2022, yung Inklo Sports naging Inklo Network. Noong June 18, 2022, nagkaroon ng ikalawang opisyal na webinar ng organisasyon. Ang pamagat nito ay Tanglaw, Inklo Talks Webinar Series on Mental Health. Itong webinar nito ay kaugnay sa mental health. Ang mga speakers nito ay sina Mr. Mark Guevara, si Ms. Rie Mendoza, at si Mr. Romel Arellano. Ang mga project managers nito ay sina Eds Sangga at si Ms. Cristina Camacho. Noong July 9, 16, 23, and 30, 2022, nagkaroon ng ikatlong opisyal na webinar ng Hansen Inclusion para sa taong iyon. Ito yung ugnayan, Inklo Talks Webinar on Disability Awareness. Itong webinar nito ay kaugnay sa Disability Awareness in celebration of the NBPR month. Ang mga speakers nito ay sina Joniro Fradejas, si Miss Mona Visperas, si Miss Raquel Castro, si Sir Archie Cunanan, si Miss Jyoti Rajendran, isang special needs teacher na nagmula sa bansang Singapore, si Miss Melanie Alejandro, si Sir Franz Merida, si Miss Carmen Reyes Zubiaga, at si Mr. Ramil Haitin. Ang mga project managers nito ay si Miss Jane Baltasar at si Mr. Millicent Macuse. And noong July 23, 2022, during the webinar in honor of Jyoti Rajendran's country, Singapore, the organizers of that webinar played the national anthem of the Republic of Singapore entitled Majula Singapura, composed by Enchik Zubir Said. On September 24, 2022, nagkaroon ng ika-4 na opisyal na webinar ng Hansen Inclusion. Ang pamagat nito ay No More Walls, Inklo Talks Webinar on Cerebral Palsy Awareness. The essence of this webinar is to discuss about cerebral palsy in celebration of the Cerebral Palsy Awareness Week. Ang mga project managers nito ay sina Christian Gerald Chan at si Miyuki Shane Fernandez. Ang mga speakers nito ay sina Miss Cresa Ligaya, Miss Sheila Tugonon, si Miss Chris Trinidad at si Mr. Danilo Padagdagan. On October 29, 2022, kasagsagan ito ng bagyo na si Paeng, ang inyong lingkod ay nagtapos at nag-graduate ako sa Benil, sa Maynila. At yung hudyat na pagtatapos ng pag-aaral ko at ang pagsisimula ng buhay ko sa trabaho. Noong November 5, 2022, nagkaroon ng ikalimang opisyal na webinar ng Hansen Inclusion. Ang pamagat nito ay No Limits, Inklo Talks Webinar on ADHD Awareness. It was originally scheduled on October 29, 2022, but lumipat ito nung araw na yon dahil sa bagyong Paeng sa Metro Manila. The essence of this webinar is to discuss about ADHD awareness. Ang mga project managers nito ay sina Asher Santos at si Roylan Marlang. At ang speakers nito ay sina Miss Cristina Halal, Miss Jojo Nepomuceno, si Miss Lovely Solatorio at si Miss Badet Araulio. Noong November 19 and 26, 2022, ito yung kahuli-huli nating webinar sa Hands in Inclusion. Ang pamagat nito ay Tara Lead, Leadership, Empowerment, Attention for the Youth and Development. Itong webinar nito ay kaugnay sa leadership development, the attention of the situations of the youth today, and the innovations in the business sector. Si Roylan Marlang ang project manager nito at ang speakers nito ay sina Cristel Nogar, si Maria Bless Adriano, si Miss Elisgo at si Ginoong Panya Bunsiritum. Noong December 3, 2022, nagkaroon ng dalawang events kasabay ng selebrasyon ng International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Ito yung Destination 2022. Ito yung webinar ng I Volunteer Philippines. At ang Inclusion Revolution Culmination Concert ng Best Buddies Philippines. And then noong November 30, 2022 at December 10, 2022, inilunsad ang kantang Sama-sama sa Pasko. This song is composed by Roylan Marlang. It's inspired from Ang Pasko ay Magniningning. Ito yung song ng kinanta ng isang controversial na religious group at isang TV channel, ang Sunshine Media Network International. Ito ang TV network ang may-ari na si Pastor Apollo C. Quiboloy. Itong kantang ito ay kaugnay sa pagkakaisa bilang paghanda sa selebrasyon ng Pasko at Bagong Taon. Noong 2020 at 2022, inilunsad ang Hands in Inclusion ng mga podcast. Ang Open Arms, Editorial, One Inclusion Live, Magpayo Tayo Kay Inclusion, Kawal ng Inclusion, IncluArt, IncluSports, Kumustahan sa IncluRadyo, The Beatles sa HNI, Quiz Tayo, Lutuan 101, Inclu News, Inclu Gaming, Special Report, Roy FM, and Lifestyle and Inclusion. Aside from the Inclusive Report, pero nahinto po ito noong 2022 dahil yan sa nangyari sa April 30, 2022 webinar. Kaya ang resulta na wala na bigla sa area ng itong mga programa sa IncluRadyo ng Hands in Inclusion Pilipinas. And then ito, noong 2023, ito, Hands in Inclusion organized 2 webinars entitled Pinay Pride and Gabay. Hands in Inclusion is on a new era of making alliances between Hands in Inclusion and other PWD orgs for a better One Inclusion Nation. And the majority of the volunteers are from I Volunteer Philippines. They had an ad called Pilipinas Natin Ito, the Second National Deaf Volunteer Congress. We have TJ Pormarejo who passed the Career Service Exam. And then we have the Buti na lang May Pasko Hands in Inclusion version. And the resumption of 2 advocacy walks in face-to-face mode, such as the ASP Angels Walk for Autism and the Desapi Happy Walk for Down Syndrome after a 3-year hiatus due to the pandemic. And then this year, nagkaroon ng mga events. Una, for the first time, Hands in Inclusion took part of the ASP Angels Walk for Autism 2024. And then yours truly was interviewed on Kada Umaga, a TV show aired on Net25 on April 1st, 2024, Lunes ng Pasko ng Pagkabuhay. Hansen Inclusion organized 5 virtual events such as NQ, Mark as Safe, A Better Attitude, the Filipino Sign Language Training, and Empowering Futures. Roylan Marlang was interviewed on Teleradyo Servicio last November 29, 2024. And Sir Wilbert Hansway took part of Mr. Chinatown Philippines 2024. And this recently, Hansen Inclusion had a Christmas song entitled Regalo ng Pasko. So, in a nutshell, despite the achievements in the history of Hansen Inclusion for the past 7 years, the organization continues to promote the culture of inclusion in our country at patuloy kami maglilingkod sa inyo. In the wake of the organizational crisis which led to the temporary closure of Hansen Inclusion last June 6, 2020, I would like to appeal to all the members of the organization to observe proper decorum to avoid problems in the future. Let us continue to have a good example. Let us learn how to be disciplined and also to understand each other, to be self-controlled. Your cooperation and your attention is highly appreciated. Also, to observe good attitude and good manners is a must. Act like a neutral person. Act as a poor, not an elitist. Huwag tayo maging gampante. Huwag ding matigas ng ulo. Ito ay ginagawa para maging mapayapa at maayos ang organisasyong na ito ng matagal. Apart from your patience and understanding, we'll be asking everyone for your help and prayers for the anticipated return of Hansen Inclusion as a formal non-government organization and to expect a brand new start in the organization. And here goes now the end of my story. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And may the Almighty God bless us all. Pagpalain nawa po tayo ng poong may kapal. Pilipinas, God first. HNI, God first. Thank you very much and goodbye.